All right, welcome in to the BFR podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name's Dave. You can follow me on Twitter at Dave_BFR, actually all socials. You can check out all my work, cover the Bears for Sports Mockery. Multiple articles a week, going to be working on one late tonight as well. Unfortunately, we have It's Ficky Baby, Ficky, our co-host for the BFR podcast. You can follow him on all socials. It's Ficky Baby. Ficky, man, we're kind of used to this. We're back to earth again.
Yeah, we're definitely used to it.
Bears lose to the Chargers big time on Sunday Night Football. Unfortunately, it was not flexed out, so it was prime time. But how you feeling, man? It's late. I know about you.
Yeah, I mean, look. Realistic. I said we had a chance because, if you watch the pre-show, I said we had a chance because this defense is not that great, right? And my bold prediction was like, we'd rush for 170 yards. So I was thinking coming in, right, that we would try to kind of stick to our game plan that we kind of did last week with Tyson and kind of let's do run heavy first, and then I'll kind of allow, the passing game to open up. But I think we ended the game with like 71 rushing yards, which is like nothing at all. And I know a lot of that goes to like us being behind. But basically, like once I saw that we weren't dedicated to the run, I'm like, there's no way we're going to win this. Like, absolutely not. And also I think the biggest thing to take away from this, right, is that congrats to Tyson Bagent and all that he's done to get here, right? He's broken a lot of records for coming from such a small school to make it to the NFL. So round of applause for him. He deserves all that. But the hype to think that someone from that type of caliber of school is going to come in as a rookie and play better than Justin Fields is ridiculous. So it's unfortunate that he did play bad because I don't want our players to play bad. Like I'm not that type of negative person, but I think it did bring a lot of us back to reality to be like, chill out. To think that this man would come into the system and be better than Fields is out of my mind. If it's not working with Fields, there's no way it'd work with Tyson. Tyson has some strengths here and there that are better than Fields, but I think it was a reality check for everyone. So.
And the thing is, none of us is going to root against Tyson Bagent.
No.
It's just, it got to the point where it was, Tito over here, yikes, boys, yikes. Absolutely. Yikes is the perfect word for this one. Yeah. But when it comes to Tyson Bagent, and it's what the media does, including, I say we try to stray away from it. But obviously rooting for Tyson, rooting for Justin, you're kind of put in two camps here. But for me, it's like the talent was never a question. Like, I understand Tyson, he threw a lot of touchdowns. We kept on today. It was funny. Like, they showed the graphic where it was like Tyson Bagent, his stats in, at D2, where it was like most touchdowns ever in D1, D2, or D3. And it's like, okay, great job. I understand that. But it's like, this is the NFL now. Like, I don't understand how all these stats kept on, like, they had nothing else to show except for his, D2 rise. And so it's like, anyways, it was getting exhausting, and I understand they had a lot of graphics ready. I'm sure they didn't get to use a lot of them just because of how the game was going. But this was a perfect game for me where it was like, last week was fun, but it wasn't like, I think you touched on it and we touched on it. It wasn't like crazy. It wasn't out of this world, but it almost felt like it was going to be blown out of proportion no matter what he did, as long as he won the game, and he did. So I want to get to the game here. You talked about it rushing. The Bears had 73 total rushing yards. I mean, not nearly as much as I think our bold predictions. I
had 170. I had 175. Okay, so yeah, not even close. Yeah, in the slightest.
No. So, and then the Chargers, they only had 54. But I mean, they almost had 300 total passing yards. They had 298. The Bears had 222, which, I mean, garbage time. Kind of throws in there, but it was honestly kind of close because the Chargers had 352 total yards. The Bears had 295. It's just the Chargers put up points, man. And they had very, very good field position most of the game.
I think Herbert started off the game like 9 for 9. Yeah, something. He had like the best start, right? And there's a couple things that go to that. Obviously, having both our safeties out.
Playing the Bears, yeah.
Well, yeah, having both your safeties out doesn't help, right? Jaquan out for illness, and then even Bojack being out, like that's obviously not good. So the secondary was a little weak on that end. And then obviously we've talked about this since day one, right? 1 sack the whole game. And I think there's one in like garbage time. we did get some pressures in there. Obviously, TJ Edwards is a dog, had a couple of hits in there and whatnot. But we're just
huge missed tackle too. That Eckler touchdown.
He did on the first quarter.
I know,
but like the first quarter, it's not. But especially on that, Eckler's shifty as hell. But in that first quarter, like we didn't have pressure at all, right? I think we started to dial it up once we had to. Like second quarter, definitely third quarter. That's probably where we had the most pressure. But like Herbert was back there all day. He could throw to whoever he wants. Quick throws, deep throws. I mean, everything was open. So it's nothing we saw this game, right? You should be surprised about. It's the same issues that we've had weeks in and weeks out. There's a reason why we've only won 2 games. One of those was against a backup quarterback, Brian Hoyer, and the other one was against, I can't even remember it now. Who was our first win against?
This year?
Yeah, who was it?
Was it Washington?
Washington.
Or did we lose that game?
Go. No, we won that one. That's
Sam
the one
Howell.
we surprised. Yeah. So we've beaten Sam Howell and Brian Hoyer, right? When we face any other quarterback that's like average or above where our defense actually can't stop, we lose every single game. All right. And so my biggest takeaway from this is, I know we've never fired a coach midway through. Eberflus is 6-20, bro. Oh no, is it even 6?
No, that's just
no, he's 4. That's Fields 4. He's 4 and what? What is it? It's even worse. Fields is 6-20, which is not good. Eberflus is what, 4 and because we won 3 games last year, won 2 games this year, 5 and what? Horrible. It's something horrible, bro.
I'm bringing it up right now.
Yeah, no, you're fine. But anyways, my point is a little bit. Yeah, my point is this though. This man is not a good coach. I'm sorry. He threw. You know what? Icing on the cake. Sorry, go ahead.
He's 5-20.
Yeah, 5-20. So one less than Fields. So yeah, it's god awful. He threw the challenge flag after we already scored the touchdown. I mean, if it was like any other coach, you wouldn't. You were like, whatever, it's just a simple mistake. But the biggest thing though, where you can see the coaching. Normally, I'm like, oh, play calls, right? The biggest thing was, look at the penalties we had, bro. We had 7 penalties, multiple on drives, just so many. Chargers, on the other hand, only had 2, right? I don't know what the yards equated to, but we had a shit ton, right? And so I look at that, right? When I look at the coaching as a whole, it's not like one piece, right? There's layers to it. I look at, okay, the hits principle. The S is supposed to be for smart, right? We don't play smart. We're undisciplined, right? We're undisciplined. So that's one big thing. Second thing is you look at play calling. Play calling is all over the place on both sides of the ball. Just not good, right? And then just winning, right? At the end of the day, you're graded as a coach on how many games you win. They don't care how you win it, how you do it. It's all about winning in this league, right? This record shows that he's the worst head coach in Chicago Bears history. So I know the Bears are mom, pop, old school, blah, 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 tradition type of bullshit. But this man should not be able to come back in the office on Monday unless Kevin Warren's like, you know what? I want to increase our draft picks and the likelihood for us to keep tanking. In essence, not tanking, but losing is sticking with you. So he's like, you know what? You're probably not going to make it next year. Not let him know. But he's like, I also want high value for the new people coming in. So, if you're the problem, I want to keep the problem around for as long as possible. So it's just crazy. You could just watch this game and you're just like, yeah, this is coaching from head to toe. It's so bad.
If they weren't going to Flus didn't get fired after that Denver game. He's going to be here the rest of the year. And so, which is a good thing, like you mentioned, as far as just draft, the draft stock. And like I said, I hate to get to that point where you're talking about April. I think you tweeted during the game, the draft is 174 days away. So we have some time.
Oh my God. That's half a year.
But
we have a lot
right
of time.
now I want to talk about Justin Fields and him being on the sideline. I had a couple of funny thoughts. Like they showed him quite a bit, man. He looked like an OC out there. Like fucking cool as shit out there with that little, headpiece. And, it looked like he was going through the plays as, himself as well, which you love to see. Mm-hmm. But for me, one of the biggest takeaways from this game, you didn't really see it against the Raiders because of one, how great the defense played. That didn't happen here. And like you mentioned, playing a real quarterback, a caliber of Justin Herbert, like it was kind of fun just to watch from a Bears perspective to see how good he actually was, even though he struggled this year. But the funny thing is he has 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions heading in tonight. Justin Fields had a better stat line, and he had missed a game and a half, now too. So it's like, man, I mean, I could bring it up here in a moment where they showed Justin on the sideline and it showed his stat line, so far this season. I'm like, that's not too bad, but we're over here talking about Tyson Bagent almost replacing him. It's almost sickening just because we do that. Like as fans, as, Chicago, as the fan base in general, it's just, we've never had that type of quarterback. So it's like, we're just on to the next shiny thing. It's like Justin has hit so many, holes on this team. He's made this roster. I mean, look at last year. I just feel like he deserves a little bit more respect and credit that he got.
I agree.
Maybe should have gotten the last couple of weeks. It's like, man, he went down and everyone's like, oh, Tyson Bagent, and it's a fun, great story. And I think he has a place in this league. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I hope he's on our team.
It's not easy playing quarterback. Yeah, I hope he's on this team for the next 3 or 4 years because he's a great backup quarterback.
Absolutely.
And maybe even more. But right now, he's just not ready to really take that mantle as a starting quarterback in the NFL, which is not easy to do in the first place. So again, nothing against him. It's just, I feel like this game really could have been competitive if Fields was out there. Like maybe not the entire game, but just a lot more than 7 points, man. Like it looked dink and dunk. It looked very
it wasn't
sloppy.
It wasn't good
all around. Good. I don't know.
Yeah, it was not. It wasn't good. At the end of the day, though, it should shut up. Like, if you don't think Fields is the guy, that's totally fine. But don't think Bagent is the guy either, right? Like, there's really two camps, right? It's either you think the quarterback is on this team or you don't, and we're going to draft one next year. It's as simple as that. Don't split it into 3 camps where it's Bagent versus Fields versus next guy. Like, nah, that doesn't make any sense.
So this is what I was referring to earlier was Justin Fields. And this is like second quarter. This is his stat line, 62%, almost over 1,200 yards. This is just passing. And then 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 91.6 rating. And I'm like, this is the guy where, everyone's losing their minds about almost, as far as just being done, which I understand having 2 top 5 picks potentially. It's like, you might as well talk about, the next young quarterback that might be coming through Chicago. But it's like we have one right now. He's 24 years old. And I mean, he was doing some crazy stuff last year. Sure, he's not fucking perfect, but it's like there's not a lot of great, perfect quarterbacks out there. Look at today. This, as far as just like,
it's also
what we're saying.
No, you're absolutely right. And then here's the other thing, right? Because I definitely talked about if you're going to move on, Caleb Williams is definitely I'm on board for that, right? If you're going to move on. And again, I have to bring this up every show because it's important. What I want to happen and what I think is going to happen are 2 separate different things, right? I want Fields to build around Fields, use our draft capital, flip it, kind of what we did last year, right? But if we keep losing, right, and we still have that number 1 pick, which we don't right now, which is where I'm going to get to with my point, is that the Cardinals now have the number 1 pick. So it seems like the talk about Caleb Williams was so easy when we have the number 1 pick. Right now, we don't have it, right? So now when you think about, okay, it's, let's say, Poles does his evaluation, if it's even Poles or whoever it is, right? And they're like, hey, Caleb Williams or nobody else, right? Now we don't even have that option. So now we have to use our ammo to jump up to 1 to even get it. And guess who needs a quarterback most likely? Because they could flip Kyler Murray, right? Arizona. So it's not like that's the let's say Denver was 1. That'd be a different situation because they have Russ with a lot of money. So they probably wouldn't go off of him. But in this case, we don't even have the number 1 pick. So to think that it's that easy that we'll just get Caleb Williams. Oh, we'll just get Drake May. That may not be the case. We have 10 games left and we have no idea where these teams are going to lie. You know what I mean? The only thing I can be certain about is that our 2 picks, statistically standing, there's a 98% chance that they're both top 10. And there's a 60% chance that at least one of them's top 5. So they're going to be great picks, but to think that we have the number 1 locked down, no, that is not the case at all. We could easily lose to Panthers, which is funny, which then would flip those. And then, who knows where we're at? Again, we're only what is it? We're 2 and 4, 6 weeks in. We have 11 more weeks. 2 and 6, 8 weeks in. We have 9 more weeks or 10 more because we have a bye. 10 more weeks to, a lot of things can change. People go on winning streaks all the time in the NFL. So my point is this. it's not as easy as that. Oh, we'll just get a new quarterback. It's first off so hard to find a good quarterback, as Bears history has shown you. You know how hard it is for us to find someone decent. The best person that we've ever had on this team, we had to trade for. You know what I mean? We finally drafted someone who talent-wise is the best to step through the door, even though the bar is low. But why would we not try to make that work? That's how I feel, right? I'm not a GM. Yeah. I'm not behind the doors, but does the dude have flaws? Yeah, but so do all these people. You get a new rookie in here, we're going to have to restart it again. And it's a roll of the dice. We don't know. You don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
No, absolutely. And if you guys have any, first of all, lots of comments coming in. We'll try to get those on the screen here. But if you have questions or just something you guys want to hear us talk about just post game, go ahead and throw it on there. We'll see if we can get to it. But first of all, hats off to the Chargers. I mean, just from the trenches to the caliber of talent they have on their roster, you can see how far ahead they are than the Bears are right now currently. And the Bears have some nice pieces. Yeah, and they should. With Justin
they
Herbert,
paid a lot they paid a lot of money too. Like they've paid
seeing
a lot
Khalil
of
Mack
money
out there was fun. Even though he was
he was quiet.
Kind of kept in check.
Oddly, Joey Bosa was had more production than Mack. And that was really on the interior. So
this game was just so fucking weird and boring to watch from an offensive, first of all, I'm going to bring it up real quick, see if I can find it. Talk about Velus Jones Jr.
Oh God, bro.
You know what play I'm talking about.
What do you mean? It's the only, bro. It's the only play. He's only on the field for like a couple big plays.
I'm going to pause it here. So for our Apple, Spotify listeners, listen to this back tomorrow or whenever you are catching the pod. First of all, thank you. But this is the Velus Jones, drop?
Slip and slide.
That's drop. What I call it. Embarrassing on prime. I feel almost bad showing this because I feel like he's going to have a long ass night, long week if he is even still in a Bears uniform. Because this is the last straw, man. Like, you're wide open. Tyson Bagent needs some help. You got to get the offense going. And they scored on this drive, yes. But it's like, to get some momentum, maybe this changes the game just a little bit. Probably doesn't. But this is just straight up embarrassing. Like, I think I can make this catch. Like, he slips and the ball still hits him in the fucking chest.
Yeah, like, there's two things wrong there. You slip, which you shouldn't, and then you drop it when it hits you.
Well, I mean, even slipping is fine. I get it. If you're going to slip, that's all right. But it's still hitting the chest, man. You're an NFL wide receiver. You have to come down with that. Like DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, ESB, St. Brown, he makes that catch. Tyler Scott.
Facts. But they're true wide receivers. Like, they're still lower in the depth chart, but they're true wide receivers. Shane Ward does have a comment that I kind of want to address here. He says, ball was thrown late and underthrown. It slipped while putting the brakes on. That's fair, right? Like, it wasn't a perfect ball, but you're wide open. I don't care.
That's a good observation, though.
But you're wide open, though. You got to catch that. Like, that's you think the NFL, these quarterbacks are all throwing perfect balls? No, they're not. There's balls behind them. There's balls in front of them. There's balls that are late. There's balls that are high. These guys make catches, right? The great ones make most of the catch. Like, AJ Brown had a catch today where that ball was high as hell. I know it's AJ Brown, but this is my point. Man was in the corner of the end zone, reached out with one hand, grabbed it with his fingertips, and touchdown. You know what I mean? From Jalen Hurts, who's a pretty accurate quarterback. The point is, if you're wide open, you got to catch it. There's no excuse, right? And if we look at the first play of the game, Darnell Mooney's pass from Tyson Bagent, it was not a perfect ball. It was a good ball to where, like, only he could get it, but Mooney had to adjust and make a crazy catch, right? You see a ball like that, and Mooney makes a catch, and then you see a ball that's a little bit underthrown in the end zone wide open, and he drops it by Velus. Nah, there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. I don't think so. And sure, Roquan here said, I don't really think it's 100% on Jones. That's my point. It's not 100%, but it's about 90. It's high enough. You know what I mean? So,
man, it's tough for me because he's an NFL wide receiver. Like, he gets paid to do this. Yes. And it's like it hits you in the chest. I know you're slipping. I know maybe the ball is underthrown. And that's another point with Tyson. It's like, I think his arm is good, but it's definitely not even close to like an NFL top 10 arm talent.
Yeah.
And anyways, I don't want this to be an episode where I'm like, oh, Tyson Bagent this, Tyson Bagent that, because like he's come and defeated a ton of odds. I'm very happy for him. It's just
he also had a minus the fourth quarter, like where he kind of was like, we had to just pass it and you're forcing stuff. He had a pretty decent game in essence of like, he was calm in the pocket. He threw a lot of dots and dimes. Like I don't want it to feel like this is negative Bagent, right? Yeah. That's not what this
he was 25. But, go ahead. No, I was going to say he's 25 to 37.
Yeah.
232, 2 interceptions.
Right. And the 2 interceptions were really in like the one was a miscommunication in the first half. The second one was a 4th down where you had to force it. You see what I'm saying? So
he had a couple more on that could have been picked too.
True. I'm not saying he had a perfect game. What I'm saying is that this isn't Bagent did some things really well, right? He did some things really bad. The life of a rookie quarterback in the NFL. I'm saying this is a pod to say Bagent isn't QB1. There is no QB controversy at all. Like that shouldn't even be a talk. Bagent, glad you filled in your role. I think he's shown that he can stay in this league, right? And be a QB2 and possibly a starter, but he's just not ready yet. You know what I mean? So when Fields is healthy, he'll be our quarterback, like Flu said. So yeah, not a perfect game, but he did things right. He did some good things as well. So
bounce it around, but Matthew Brown YouTube comment goes, my issue is that Velus was a third round pick, and that goes to polls again. Like, I know he had the Chase Claypool, which he didn't know was going to be such a high second, almost basically a end of the first round as far as pick goes.
32nd.
I understand that, but it's like you knew what you were going to get. You knew what you were trading for as far as like the potential and the history and the drama. And if the Steelers are giving up on a player, especially a wide receiver, where they know how to draft those types of players. Just it is what it is when it comes to look at George Pickens. I mean, he is just unreal. But for Velus being a 3rd round pick, it's like Tyler Scott's outproducing him. He's out snapping him, just getting the trust from the team.
Here's my thing though. Like you look across the league, there's no GM that nails it every draft. I'm sorry. Like these GMs have great drafts. They have bad drafts. It happens. So because I look and I go, TJ Edwards, amazing. Like if we're going to look at negatives, we can look at positives too. TJ Edwards, Andrew Billings, they've been balling out this year, and we got them for not that expensive of deals. Even Edmonds. Now Edmonds was a little bit more expensive, but Edmonds has been playing well as well. Been playing good as well. And then also Tyreek Stevenson's been handling himself pretty well. Kyler Gordon's still a serviceable player. Same with Brisker. So just like any GM, you're going to have ones where you hit, and you hope the ones you hit are at the very top, like the 1st and 2nd rounds. And you hope the ones you miss are later on. You know what I mean? Because the value of that pick. And so far, the issue, if you look at like Ryan Pace, the issue with Ryan Pace, and we talk about either you didn't have a 1st round pick because all the trades you made, or your 1st round picks or 2nd round picks ended up being not that good, minus JJ and Cole Kmet. Those are the only 2 Ryan Pace, and that's from the same draft, like 2nd round picks where you're like, oh, wow, that was a good one. So I'm not too concerned about that because Ryan Poles, if we have to put the list of like what is wrong with this team, Ryan Poles is not near the top. So I don't even want to put my focus on that. The issue is coaching, right? Lack of talent, right? Which we're improving on, and the quarterback, right? In that order, that's how I view it. If we get better coaches in here and we get better talent, maybe they'll develop an offense that works best for Fields, and maybe Fields gets better, right? And that's not taking away that Fields has to work on things himself. No, of course he does, right? This is a team game. Everyone has. There's not one issue or like one solution, right? All 3 of them have to get better, but it's just like it's to think that I just seen a lot of polls talk, and I'm like, that should be the least of our.
No, it's not a good pick. That's fair. Like we could say, terrible pick, terrible trade for Chase Claypool. Looking back at it, but it's like he has still put this team. We've talked about it. You know how fun the offseason is going to be after this. However, this transpires, the fact that you have 2 1st round picks, perhaps top 5, both of them, and then you have cap space,
over
number 1 in the league.
Come on,
you are fine, and that's awesome. And that's what he's supposed to do. Like, you can't really – he's going to have some misses. Like, every GM is going to miss. Ryan Pace, bringing it back to him, he had, obviously, some misses, his biggest one being quarterback, and that's kind of what kind of screwed him over.
Kevin White too.
Yeah, Kevin White. Yeah. I mean, that's just a freak. That sucks.
Yes.
I mean, injury, like that's tough, man.
Injury bug like crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like this roster is still, has a long ways to go. And he mentioned it. He said it. What, 70? They have about 20% left, so they're about 80% there. 20% left to kind of figure this thing out, maybe even more. Since they're getting a little bit more tape, and the reality's kind of setting in on some of these guys that you thought maybe take a leap, but they kind of aren't, or they're just kind of stagnant. So it is what it is. But I want to talk about the defense like a little bit, just because I know we've had some positivity. There was a comment here about, what was it here? Go back a little bit. Bring it up from Roquan. I think the real concern is how absolutely terrible this Bears defense is. And I was giving them a little bit of praise a little bit earlier, a couple weeks ago, last pod.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I think like you playing a real quarterback today, and you're missing Brisker and Eddie Jackson. He suited up, but I don't even think he played a snap.
No,
so
he
it's
didn't.
like
he didn't.
They're down 2 guys there, and it's like at some point you're like, that's gonna suck a little bit, especially some of the the miscues, and I feel like the tackling from Elijah Hicks.
Tackling's been bad all. I'm just saying in general, the tackling's been bad all year. So
I can't wait. How many tackles do you think we missed today? I was trying to keep track.
Probably at least we're probably double digits on missed tackles.
Oh yeah,
because it was so bad.
High
that
teens, like high 15, 16.
Probably.
That's
because even Flus, like his
incredible.
his halftime talk was like, we have to tackle better. When your coach says that lets you know that obviously like you guys are missing a bunch of tackles.
What kind of pissed me off about halftime is Flus came in like they interviewed him, which I was like, okay. That's weird. I feel like they typically interview maybe the coach that's like maybe winning or something. Anyways,
I've seen that.
Flus comes in and he smiles, like smiling, just like not a care in the world. I'm like, dude, you're getting your ass whooped right now. Like
handled.
It just rubbed me the wrong way. It looked like a guy that he knows 10 weeks from now he's probably out the door. So
anyways, he's gone. He's gone.
And I understand like playing the Chargers, who they've kind of been an up and down team all year. They were 8.5 like favorites going into this one, and we understand why now, and they definitely covered. But the question I have when it comes to Austin Eckler and just the missed tackles, it's like that's coaching too, as far as like, I mean, one play with Eckler that he had that touchdown early on in the game, and it's like the angle that Edwards took, it was just awful. Like, especially for him, like we know he's a much better player than that play showed, but it's like at some point, coaching does have to kind of evolve here. And it's like the Bears, like they beat up, I guess, on some, bad teams here the last few weeks, but it really showed how awful and how far maybe we are away just from having a top 15 defense, let alone maybe top 20.
Oh no, you won't. I say this every fucking week, bro. I'm like a broken record. People probably hate it, but you're only as good as your trenches. Okay. We don't have a pass rush. So this defense will never be near the top because we give the quarterback so much time to do whatever they want. The run defense is good. I'll give them that. Like even today they held to 54 yards, that's pretty good, right? The run defense, because I don't think they had any big runs, right? They had a couple like 6-7 yard.
It was their screens or like their checkdowns that were almost like
passing, right?
Massive runs.
Right. And not fine. And like, I'm not happy that's happening, but I'm saying like the run defense is actually pretty solid.
Still pretty good.
It's the pat. We have no
one
to
get top to the 5 in the NFL heading into this week, or like
they were
number 1 in the last few weeks.
I think they were okay. Yeah, I think they were 3rd, and they're top 3 in like most categories. So they're a good run defense. But again, this is the NFL. Run defense is good. Like I'm happy they're that. But at the end of the day, like when it's 3rd and long, and they're converting them, why is that? Because Herbert got to sit back there forever and toss it off. Yeah. Like there was a couple drives where it's like, oh, they ran first play, stopped them, ran second play. It's 3rd and long, right? We did our job. 3rd down and long, they get a first down to like Darnold, to the Parham, the tight end for first down, or Eckler, of course. Which I mean, Keenan Allen, and obviously Keenan Allen's a beast. So I'm not saying that's an easy task, but my point is like if you have no one to put pressure on the quarterback or have the quarterback worried that there's going to be someone in his face, he feels comfortable back there and he can just wait all he wants and finds that opening and zip it through. And that's exactly what we saw. So yeah, we knew this from week 1 and it's going to be the same issue till week 17. So we're just going to have to deal with it and just like face reality. Like this is again another reality game. We came from a high, right? We came from like, oh wow, last game we won, excitement, right? And this is like, hey, let's remember this offense still is kind of garbage. Let's remember Tyson Bagent isn't a Hall of Famer. Let's remember this defense still is not effective in pass coverage, right? And pass rush. So
fun fact here, Matt Eberflus has never had back-to-back wins as a Bears head coach.
Oh, on this team? Yeah, of course.
Never had back-to-back wins. 14-game losing.
Think about it. You only have
record. It's crazy.
You only have 5 wins. So I'm not surprised.
Is he the worst ever?
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Win percentage. Not in the NFL.
I know that. I'm just talking about like worst Bears coach ever.
Yeah.
We might look back
absolutely.
a couple years ago or a couple years, fades away. And but it's like when we look back at Flus, we'll be like, yeah, that's the worst head coach.
I would say win percentage wise, but not drama wise. Because if you go like drama in the locker room issues, you could go all the way back to Trestman and John Fox.
Yeah,
like locker room issues. Trestman, bro. Trestman, that was like Brandon Marshall era. Like there was a bunch of chaos going on during there. Now it was short stinted. I think it was also only 2 years. He did win more games than Flus. So like from a win percentage, he's not worse than Flus. But like,
yeah,
let's put it this way. We like Flus loses, but there's no we don't hear about like stories coming out about other stuff. The biggest story that we heard come out in the Flus era was Roquan. And that just had to deal with him wanting to get a trade out. You know what I mean? So
right.
That's like the biggest story. While the Trestman era, it was like a shitstorm in the locker room. The reports came out later that like the players didn't even really rock with the coach. He kind of, he wasn't like a true leader. I think like there's more respect for Flus. It's just like execution isn't there. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, though, like your talent's not as much there as well, obviously, but like
because it was a full rebuild.
A full last year, literally, it sucks that he that's tied to him, but like it was a complete gut of talent on the roster. Hoping that this year, it would be like your first year to kind of like, we'd see some progress. And unfortunately, the issue is not what happened last year. The issue is we actually haven't seen any improvement this year. You know what I mean? So that's why it's a problem, because the roster has been improved enough where you should be able to win 6 games easily, but we can't. So,
yeah. So I want to bring up a comment here about Fields. We got Ray from Facebook. First of all, before I hop into this, because I want to talk about Justin and our thoughts on him in this comment. But if you're here for the first time, if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is, YouTube, first of all, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're on Facebook, hop over to YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate everyone that's been hopping in. Almost 2,000 subs. I think we talked about the last couple pods. We're getting real close. We're going to do a giveaway. So to be qualified for that, just go ahead and sub to the channel, like the video, and we'll be hopefully there probably by the end of next week as far as just hitting that 2,000 marker, which is insane, especially when such a disappointing season so far. But we appreciate all the
misery
love.
brings company.
Apple, Spotify, keep supporting. Huge base over there as well, which we enjoy. We all know everyone can't just watch YouTube as far as just the pod to go. So if you're watching there, rate the pod, keep enjoying it. We appreciate everyone that's been tuning in. But I want to get to this question with Ray from Facebook. It says, Fields shouldn't be an NFL QB either. So, Ficky, I want to leave it with you, man. How do you feel about this? Like, I know you like Justin, but is Ray somewhat correct there as far as the flaws?
If you count Fields at his worst, he's still top 40 quarterback, which means top that like 40? Fields at his worst, like Fields' worst games, like his worst. If you're gonna go Fields' best games, he looks like a top 10 quarterback or top 15 easily. His best games, he's had some where he's super efficient, where he's running for a great amount of yards. Passings are great. He's thrown some nice deep balls. He's had like 2 or 3 games where you go, that is a top 10 quarterback, right? That's the potential that we live off of, right? Because we're like, oh, we see what your ceiling can be because of games like that. But the problem with Fields is he also has games where you're like, oh, you could be a backup, right? Easily. But to say that is that he shouldn't be an NFL quarterback. Yo, that's mad disrespectful because there are plenty of backup quarterbacks that's been in this league that Fields is 10 times more talented than, and they've had a career for a long time. A good one is Mr. Longneck that we had that Ryan Pace got. What was his name? Bald, super long neck.
Mike
went to Tampa after us. Mike Glennon, thank you. Yes. So if Mike Glennon can last in the league for that long, and you don't think Fields is a better quarterback or talent-wise than that, and he doesn't deserve to be in the NFL, that's crazy. But I mean, yeah, he made it to the NFL if you are a first-round pick, you have the talent no matter what to be in the NFL. You don't just randomly fall into the first round. So appreciate the comment. You may not like Fields, and that's totally fine, but like, yeah, he definitely deserves to be in the NFL. How long? That's a different story. Like
with Justin, for me, like you mentioned it, those games where he is electric, where he has everything kind of going, he even still has some flaws there where it's like, he's still holding on to the ball, even in his good games, right? His great games, there's still some issues that just aren't going away. But it's like, there is not a perfect quarterback that is going to be perfect every single game. There's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Talk about him, which, best quarterback in the league, perhaps best quarterback ever when it's all said and done. But it's like he's having these games where they're winning, but it's like he's still just not looking himself, right? With Justin, it's like he has these issues that some might go away with better coaching, which I think is going to be, if he moves on from Chicago, I think it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because coaching, I think, will play a big role in his development just for the next couple of years. Because I think he's going to have another chance as a starter if it's not in Chicago, just because of the talent. But for me, absolutely. When it comes to Justin, if he can become consistent, that's the key for me. Consistent, where it's like not so high and so low as far as the valleys, but just like stay steady, continue to have those good games, but don't go to rock bottom where it's like 100 yards passing in the fourth quarter, and then you get some garbage time, right?
You want less ebbs and flows. You want little margins.
Exactly. But still have those peaks throughout the seasons, right? So it's, for me, as far as like, hide those flaws as much as you can with the scheme, with better coaching, better players, better trenches, which is going to come. So if they stick with him in the next year or two, I think there's going to be some progress, significant progress. And I think he showed it last year where he put that team on his back, that 2 whatever. We won 2 games, right? 3 games.
Three games.
One of the worst teams the Bears have put out in a very long time, if ever.
No, the worst.
And he carried.
The worst.
Yeah. It was such a fun time. Like, there were stretches of football where it's like, hey, I can't wait to watch the Bears, even though they've won 2 games. That was because of Justin Fields, and that player is still there. And this year, I showed the stats earlier in the pod. He's having a very good season statistically, but it hasn't been consistent. And so there's been people are still pissed off because they're like, 2 games here, he looks like a top 30, top 40 quarterback, right?
It's super hot or super cold.
Back-to-back games where he has 8 touchdowns total, over 700 total yards in 2 games, and it's like you're hit with like, this, what the fuck's going on? I thought he wasn't the guy, right? Then he's
a roller coaster of a journey.
Yeah. And then even Minnesota, where he gets hurt holding onto the ball. I get it. You want to be upset, and he had a horrible first half, but the coaching again kind of strayed away from what was working once again. And the Vikings obviously outcoached the Bears, and Justin got hurt midway through the third quarter, so he never got to really finish that game. But it's like you're forgetting how much fun it kind of was, even though it wasn't consistent. So for me, I'm rooting for Justin. I hope he comes back and really does at least make a case for himself. That could be fun. Otherwise, it's going to be a long ass season. If he comes back,
it's already
more of the same.
It's already a long ass season. Let me break the news for you, Dave. It's long as fuck, and it's only week 8. Yo, I got to show this comment. We appreciate that, Kasuto. Appreciate that, man. I love how thoughtful the conversation is. Yeah, I mean, we're not experts or anything, but we just like to kind of give our opinions on what we're feeling. You know what I mean? It's like we don't have the what is going to work. Right. We don't know that. Like, NFL is very complicated. Even some of these organizations don't know. That's why it takes so long for them to win. So that's why, I think me and Dave are more on like, there's so many question marks with like starting over with everything at once that like sometimes it's like, let's stick with certain things that we know do work or have worked a little bit.
Ficky, before you get to that comment, let me read this real quick about coaching, about DJ Moore. So this is Matthew Berry. He goes, in a game in which Chicago was down 27-7 at the half, DJ Moore gets 1 target in the second half. 1 target. He's the best player on the team.
Yeah, go ahead.
But he gets 1 target in the second half?
Bro, he had 6 targets. I was going to bring that up later. He had 6 total targets.
It's just unbelievable. They can't scheme their best player, man. It's coaching.
Just targets.
So much
targets. Just targets. Just throw him the ball. You know what I mean? You can create so many plays.
Awesome. Dude, DJ Moore is so fucking
he's a dog.
Like do you see that play where he just threw that Chargers player off him? And I know this is like small wins, or are we really talking about this? But it's like, this game was terrible, but it's like this guy's like 5'11", 6 foot, but he's like,
that's a Poles. That's a Poles move right there.
That is a great move too.
So I gotta read this but yeah, we know DJ Moore's a dog. I love him. I'm sorry, Ray. You're on fucking crack. You're on crack. Yo, you're on crack, bro. Stay off the drugs. We watched years of Trubisky.
So for the comment, read the comment for Apple,
Ray
Spotify.
Said, I'd rather have Trubisky back there, and he was bad too. There's no way, because if I'm gonna have bad, at least I want like big play bad. And Fields has way more big play ability.
Well, I mean, Mitch got on the field today and he threw into triple coverage.
I saw that old school Mitch, bro. Don't. I'm sorry, Ray. You gotta. I know it's late, so late night, activities happen, but you might want to. Tomorrow's Monday. You got to work. You might want to lay off the drugs. But
get that Stephen A. Smith meme. Stay off.
Yeah, I can't do that. But yeah, it's so. I mean, I don't even.
He also said. I think Ray had he said he talked about Jay Cutler, and I was like, hey, I do miss Jay a little bit. Jay was fun.
No, man, Jay's fun.
Cutler years.
But Jay had big playability. That's what we liked. Like, Jay had a lot of bad games, but he also had games where you're like, oh my God, this is a top 5 quarterback. Literally what Jay is what we don't want Fields to become. You feel me? Like, Jay was so hot and cold, and we want Fields to be a little bit more consistent. You know what I mean? Because Jay had tons of great games, but I also remember
who's the better quarterback right now? Cutler or Fields?
Cutler.
Yeah.
Cutler's a better passer.
I just want to see what you thought. And the comments too. Who is better, Justin or Jay? For me, I think it's easy. I think it's Jay. But
we also got Jay. We also got Jay at like year 7 of his career. So it's not like we got Jay.
True.
We got Jay in his prime. Yeah, we got Jay in his prime. Where he had gone through his ups and downs in Denver. Or not year 7, but it was after his it would have been because like he did his 5 years in Denver.
I thought he did like 3 or 4.
Well, okay. Well, he did his rookie contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. He went through like his full rookie contract, and we got him. So year 5, 6, whatever. My point is, we didn't get Jay Cutler rookie year 1. Okay, we got him where he had learned a lot, gone through more of those mistakes and whatnot. So, but yeah.
We got Ethan on here. Ethan on YouTube, he goes, JF1 is my glorious king, and he shall return to the throne next week. Man, I tweeted right after the game. I said, I hope Justin can play next week. I hope.
Man, not just play.
Going into this one, I was like, what?
No, say not just play. It's got to be play well. Because I'd rather if you're going to come and play, and if you come and play, they got a good defense, bro. They got like a top 5 defense. So if they've only allowed,
they got Derek Carr back.
I don't think they've allowed over 25 points this season. Their defense. Like, it's a good defense.
Is Derek Carr back? I thought he was back. Or did he get hurt today? Again.
No.
And then Jameis Winston.
I don't know because I didn't catch that game. I'm not going to lie. So I'm not sure. But I think he's supposed to be back in time for the next game. That's why I thought it was going to be Fields back versus Carr back. So.
Matthew Brown. I would say.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say Justin because Jay had more around him, so he's going with Justin being the better quarterback.
Well, to be fair, Jay had a much better line.
Oh, I mean,
Jay had a much better line.
You got some depth. You had Devin
Matt Forte,
some defenses.
Devin Hester. You had Martellus Bennett. You had.
It's interesting conversation.
You also had Marshall. You had Alshon, his rookie contract. So yeah, he had a lot of weapons, and that's.
I say it's an interesting conversation, but it's like, I mean, Jay was way more productive so far, but Justin's career is still not. It's not done. I mean, we'll see. Anyways, I thought it was just interesting.
Yeah, you just can't really compare it because basically you wouldn't be able to compare it until Fields' rookie contract's up. You know what I mean? Because that's when okay, now the timelines match.
Right.
You know what I mean? So maybe
Yeah.
that's something that comes back up in like 2 or 3 years if Fields is on the team. But if Fields is on the team, then he's probably already playing better than Jay, in my opinion, because that means we decided to keep him, and extend him. So, this Ray, I'll agree with this one. I know we're giving a lot of Ray a lot of time here, but I'll agree with this comment. He said, just face it, we will never have a good QB until they sell the team to someone else. The McCaskies are cheap. Now, I agree. I don't know what it is, but you're right with we just won't ever have a good QB because that's what history's shown. So I can't disagree with facts. You know what I mean? I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's actually tied to the McCaskies or what, but history has shown to this date that we still are the only NFL team in a heavy passing league that is yet to have a QB pass for 4,000 yards. And again, this season, that will not happen. So the streak continues. So yes, we are the worst team when it comes to finding any type of valid quarterback. So crazy.
It's so sad to keep hearing that. But
it is garbage,
hopefully it
bro.
changes, man. Like I said, Justin still has time to write the script. Before we kind of close, if you guys have any other questions you want to throw in the chat, first of all, appreciate everyone that's been hopping in. Again, like the video, sub to the channel. We appreciate it. Let's get to some questions and we'll wrap it up, and we'll be back later in the week.
All right, cool. So the first one is from BLSSD, which I think might be like short for blessed, but anyways, he said, would Ben Johnson save our offense? We need something new, man. I agree. We need something new. Again, the NFL is full of so many question marks, right? 1 year you have Brian Dable and you go, that is the future for the New York Giants. Like, that is a great coach. They're 2-6 this year. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's Daniel Jones, and they don't have a lot
there's a lot of things that go into it. That's the problem. Well, that's the fun thing about the NFL, but which is also the problem. It's like a game of chess, right? With basketball, it's like checkers. You get LeBron James, you're good. You know what I mean? You get that one player, you're set yourself up.
Can change everything.
It doesn't matter about coaches. You have Michael Jordan. It doesn't matter about coaches. You're probably good. You know what I mean? The NFL, there's what? There's like 20 plus coaches. You have 53 players. You know what I mean? You have a GM, maybe an assistant GM. You've got a president. You've got a head coach. Like, there's so many layers to it that it's like hard to figure out what will save the team. I will say, I don't care who it is. We need something new, because I may not know what will fix it, but I do know what is adding to the problem, and that is Flus and this coaching staff. So they got to go. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for it, but what's your thoughts, Dave? You think Ben Johnson would save this offense?
So really, there's a lot of factors that could really swing this, because like going into next year, Ben Johnson, if he's hired on as the OC or even just the head coach, I think the Bears are going to be in such a better spot. Especially say they keep Fields and you just add on. So you get a couple more, guys through the trenches for both offensive, defensively through free agency and the draft. Maybe you bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. You could be really it could be just a different type of team as far as just the talent and of course the trenches that we talk about. It could just be a lot better for Ben Johnson, which could kind of alleviate or kind of make it really easy for him to transition to the Bears, where you have all these pieces to play with now. And Ben's already proved that he can, do it at this level. And so it could be really fun with the pieces they have. But again, you never really know how players are going to, especially, drafts. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., he seems like a no-brainer, could easily be, a top 10 receiver in this league, but it's you don't know until he actually gets here. Right. So for me, Ben Johnson, I think he's going to be absolutely in the conversation as far as hires, who we want. Yeah. I can't wait to get to that point in the offseason. We're debating.
Because that means the season's over. That's great. Because that means we finally
means Flus is out of here too. Yeah, I cannot stand this coaching staff. Nothing against them personally. It's just I thought Nagy. I thought that got really bad and it was awful at the very end, and it was not fun. This is worse. This is worse,
at least Nagy won. Nagy went to playoffs 2 out of 3 years. So
at coach of the year, man.
Wow. Or at least if you're wow, this sucks. This sucks. We saw at least 20 wins in his tenure. Easily.
Fun.
We saw, I think
got to playoffs
we saw 20 playoffs twice. I think we saw 26, 27 wins in 3 years. That's great. Yeah. We've seen 5 wins in 2 years. Imagine that. So yeah. Yeah, the Nagy era was not as bad as this at all. Okay, this is a great one. Jericho Thomas from YouTube said, "Do you guys still have hope?" And the question is, hope in what? Because hope that this team will win games? No.
I do.
Hope that you have hope that they'll win games.
I hope they'll win a couple games, man. I have hope in Justin Fields, man. I do.
No.
I do.
No. That's
I have hope.
No, but that's two different things.
Not a lot of games. I'm thinking like 2 more games.
Hope in Justin Fields.
Here's
my thing.
I have to.
I have hope in Fields, and I have hope that the defense will have some good games. I don't think those are ever going to align, and so I don't have hope that we'll win games. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have hope that both sides are going to show up, unless there's like we're playing a team and there's like we're playing like a Brian Hoyer again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I look at the schedule and I'm like,
if I'm not rooting for Justin or believe that he could turn this thing around, it's just a terrible long ass season that we're just trying to get through. So I might as well have some fun, keep it optimistic. Now, again, it's tough. It is tough. It's getting worse. And I really do hope he can at least make it interesting, because these next 10, whatever games we have left, man, it's going to be a long season. If
this is
going the way that
he has 10. I look at it like this. He has 10 interviews left to stay with this team. That's what it is. He has 10 interviews left and he's got to nail it. You know what I mean? So I have hope in Fields that he's going to do everything possible to be the quarterback one next year. But there's so much that goes into winning games. You know what I mean?
Where are you at percentage wise, like that he will be on this team starting quarterback?
Okay.
That's
a great question.
Give me that meter.
Yeah. And actually, the meter of wins, we got to do that too, because we normally do that as well.
We'll finish that.
Meter for Fields. I'm gonna say he's on. I'll say 65%. No, that's not true, because I'm gonna say it's lower. It's under 50%, and I only say that not because of Fields, but
give me a percentage.
I said this last time. Yeah, it's gonna be like 40%, only because he's tied to the coaching staff, and so I'm scared that the new coaches are coming in and they're going to be like, oh, nope, new quarterback. We don't want this one. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that isn't necessarily 100. Like, I don't like, even if Fields balls out and does really well, he really needs to ball out for the new coaches to be like, hey, I'm keeping you on board. Or the underlying key factor, if Poles is still here and Poles believes in Fields, then Poles will make sure that if he hires a Ben Johnson, they also believe in Fields. But if Poles doesn't, I think he's out the door. So if Poles is even here too, because he could be fired too. So who knows?
So it all really hangs on how he finishes the season. If he makes it interesting and he finishes strong, then that conversation, it gets difficult. It gets more blurry, especially if the Bears say he plays well, they win a few more games than you expect, and their picks outside of, say it's like 6, 7, maybe 8, and then Arizona, and then Carolina, who won today, they are now in the second spot. They're 1-6. Arizona's 1-7. So they're just barely ahead as far as, the win percentage. So Carolina has number 2. So you could be already out of the Caleb Williams, because like you mentioned earlier, Arizona is not passing on Caleb Williams. They're going to ship out Kyler Murray. So say you finish with, your own picks at 8, and the Panthers win a couple more games because Bryce Young looked fun today. The Panthers looked interesting, looked like they could win a couple games more than we expect, which is never great.
Yeah.
And it might be too early, kind of, hunting, looking at the, the picks, where they're going to be. So it's hard to predict, but it's like, say you fall out of that range of Drake May and Caleb Williams. Sure, you could package a couple and maybe get up there to number 2, but Arizona's not going to give that up. So you're going to be Drake May. How much does the franchise love him? Does the new coaching staff love him? If they're hired before, which they should be hired before the draft. And then Ryan Poles, again, another key factor in this. Does he like the quarterbacks in this class more than Justin? If you can't get the, almost the bona fide star that is Caleb Williams. So I think there's a lot of factors that we're just going to have to see how it plays out. But for me, where my meter is, I would say I'm even lower than you, Ficky, which is weird because I'm pretty hopeful.
No, that's fine.
Pretty optimistic. But I'm at like 30%, because it's looking rough, man. Like the time, if like the hourglass with like the sand, I feel like it's getting close to the point where it's like
He's only got
you're out of time, man. And it's not his
got
fault,
10 games,
especially because like his rookie season, pretty shitty spot. Last year, fucking terrible. And now you have this year. It's like, it's not perfect for him as a quarterback, and he's not a perfect quarterback. So he can't really overcome some of these things that a generational type Peyton Manning, even Tom Brady, you look at some of these guys, he's just not there. He has the talent, but I don't believe he has enough to really, because it's really incompetent as far as the coaching staff right now, So for me, I'm at like 30%, maybe 35 as far as him being the starting quarterback next year for the Chicago Bears. But it really doesn't depend on him, but more so.
Well, I was going to say is there's a lot of things that have to like go right. Like Fields has to do well. Yeah. Fields has to do well, which he can control. Right. Yeah. The coaching, Poles has to believe in him, which, is kind of tied to that. Where the picks lie, like you said, is
which I don't believe he does.
It's hard. I don't want to make assumptions, but he may not. Again, there was a comment that Poles wants to pick his own QB. That could be the case. You know what I mean? So
who wouldn't? Yeah, who wouldn't?
And of course, and also that buys a GM more time. So from like even a selfish standpoint, from like job security, you're like, oh no, this is my quarterback now, so we can build off that. That buys you a couple of years.
Shout out to our guy Evan, Bears group chat.
Yeah, tough being a Bears fan.
Good time, long time friend. Absolutely, man. You nailed that. Tough being a Bears fan. Should have named that the pod title. that would have been pretty.
Well, we're supposed to win at some time, right? Isn't that what they tell us, or isn't that supposed to happen? Or we're supposed to be good at some point? But it'll get. How about this? Whatever happens this year, I have hope. Right? You want to go back to that hope question? I have hope in the offseason. I think that whether we stay with Fields or whether we move on with a new quarterback, we're going to get an influx because of cap space and draft picks that is going to improve this team even more. So I actually have more hope in Poles because I think Poles has made way more good picks or way more good decisions than bad ones and setting us up for the future. And so I'm hopeful for that. And I think there was a comment. I think it was from Ray again, but I think he said, I hope the season ends. And that was just funny because I am about there too. I am so ready. I am so ready to get to the off season and just start on over, whatever that may be. So.
That is a great way to end the show. So let's go ahead and get to our win meter, see where we're at, see how many wins we're projecting. Cause I think we both kind of started at I started like 8, 7. I think it was maybe flip-flopped. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of where we're at right now. Ficky, do you want to start?
Last game I was,
so we're 2 and 6.
I think I was 2 to. Yeah, I think I was 2. I think my floor was 2 before last games, and then the ceiling was a 4. So we obviously hit 2. So the ceiling, the floor is staying the same. I still think we could lose out, right? I still think that's possible, and I think we're gonna beat the Panthers. That's the only game where I'm like, I think we'll win that in Chicago Thursday night. I just feel like because of the trade, DJ Moore's going to go crazy too. So I think that's the only one on the schedule I look at and I go, that's the most confident I feel about a game. I think we can get a W. So I'm going to actually go 2 to 3 games. So I see one more win in there. How about you?
Yeah, I see. I'm at that. I think the floor is, I think it's 2. I think it is. Yeah, obviously I don't think it's 3 or 4, but I think you're at 4 wins with this team, which would be improvement, one game improvement.
But to put you on the spot, who would you think your second win is? Do you know the schedule?
I think we could beat Carolina if Justin comes back. I think we could beat Carolina. I think actually we might even sneak a couple more because the Vikings. I hate to say.
Because they lost Kirk.
That sucks, man. So if whoever, unless they make a trade, their backup, I can't remember who it is, but it's a backup.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I forgot he did go down today. Sneak, so
those 2 are right there. I'm pretty confident in.
Do we beat the Packers again?
Here are the balloons.
Yo,
you're fucking with me. I know.
I swear to God, I did not do that. But I love when the balloons come in because it's great. It's always a time. But here's a question then.
For our podcast
if it's 2 to
listeners, we had balloons again. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but balloons are popping up on the YouTube channel. I don't know where they come from.
Because the excitement we're talking about, it's because we're talking about wins, bro. It's
talking about wins.
It's a celebration. Okay, here's a good one then, because I didn't think about this. You know who's dog shit right now? The Packers. Do we beat 2-6?
They're 2-5.
Do we beat 2-5?
They had a bye.
Do we beat the Packers? Week 17.
Remember, we told ourselves we'll never pick against the Packers unless they beat us or unless we win. Like, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
After that week one showing where we got our ass like handed to us, it was one of the most. We thought it was a terrible game because we were like, Jordan Love is the guy. That sucks. And then they were like,
man, he played his best game against us too.
Oh yeah, he came out to play.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, they play their best game against us. They could be dog shit, and they always will just play better than us.
2-5. They're essentially the same record as the Bears. Just they haven't played. We've played one more game.
Yeah,
So
you know what?
They're 2-5. You know what?
Jordan
Love looks awful. That's a good way to.
I think I'm on board with you. Though. Wait a second. I'm gonna change mine. I think I'm going ceiling 2 to. Floor 2 to ceiling 4.
Yeah, I think we get 4 wins, man. You could even, like I said, if everything goes great and Justin just kind of really clicks for him, and he's able to overcome some of this coaching, malpractice, I think they could get 5-6 wins. That would be crazy, which is sad to even say, because 5 or 6 wins. That's almost outrageous to say right now. And
that's double than last year. That's double than last year. So I guess
all you got to do get the ball to DJ Moore. Mooney kind of looked a little alive today with that. Should have been a touchdown. He was never touched, which we didn't even get to bullshit. That.
It's because it doesn't matter. What does that actually change? You know what I mean? Like, we get one more touchdown,
30-13, and let's be pissed off about Darnell Mooney never being touched. And
yeah, no, it wasn't a close game.
What cracked me up is that he was out on the 20. And one of the Chargers players just kind of took his jersey and swung him out. I was like, that is just so awkward. Mooney's just and hopping up and down at the 20, and then the guy just throws him out of bounds. But that should have been a touchdown, and that kind of sums up the Bears season right there. Just it's brutal.
Fucking garbage.
2-6. But again, we're still on pace to have more wins than we had last year. I hope.
Yeah.
And then we got the Saints, which is I can't even say it. I'm not even going to say it's a winnable game because it's not, but it is. It's a game that could be fun, in whatever terms you want to, put it in.
If Fields is back, yeah, we don't even know if Fields comes back. So,
yeah,
I think he will. I hope so, bro.
Justin said himself he was aiming to come back.
Against the
Saints in Week 9. I don't want to watch Agent.
But yeah, and it's not even against him. It's just that the playbook is The playbook's already not amazing, but it's already done. It's like minimized the amount of stuff you can do.
Just a lot of dink and dunks, man. It's and the thing is, Tyson, he's 6'3", right? Big guy, but it's the athlete that Justin is. And I know some people get pissed, and I get pissed about him not throwing the ball, but his ability to, with Tyson, if he gets touched, I feel like he went down, right, or something like that. Justin is still so elusive. He can make people miss. He's just more fun. He's just more fun, and that may come with some flaws and some things that we just can't stand. Fumbles, but it's man, you mentioned it earlier in the pod. When he's on and when he's throwing and when he's running, it's really fun to watch, and he can win you a game that you're probably not supposed to win, or keep you in a game like he did against Philly last year, and everything like that. So. And even that Denver game, we should have one more win. We should be at least 3 wins, in my opinion, right now. So I don't know. Coaching. I'm babbling.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's what it is. We lost that game because of coaching. Bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, we're almost there. But Ficky, again, you can follow us on Twitter. Ficky, it's Ficky Baby. All socials there. Follow me on Twitter. It's at Dave_BFR. Again, show is presented by Sports Mockery. Can't, thank them enough for, allowing us to be kind of on their platform, be a part of their, awesome thing they're building here in Chicago. So we're excited about it, even though this sucks that the Bears, keep losing and keep on breaking our hearts and keeping us up all really super late for no damn reason and ruining our Sundays.
Oh my God.
And sometimes our Mondays and Thursdays. But we're excited. We're going to be here no matter what. We appreciate everyone that's tuned in. The chat was really live this time around. Apple, Spotify, if you're listening there, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Subscribe. Almost at 2,000 subs. We cannot say it enough. We're going to have an amazing giveaway to show some love for everyone that's kind of been tuning in. And Ficky, anything before we go, man?
I'll make sure to give the BFR pod on Twitter too, because we'll be posting great stuff.
Hey, Eric has a really good comment here on YouTube. Twitter doesn't exist. You're right. It's called X. I don't think I'll ever stop saying
no, because it sounds like Twitter. An adult site. Like, I'm not calling it
follow
X.
Follow us on X, man.
Yeah,
you all know what we're talking about. I mean, I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter.
Come at me, Elon. What you gonna do about it, bro?
Shout out to Mike on YouTube. Have a good one, guys. Great pod as always. Again, we appreciate all the love. It's a community that's been growing. We know there's a lot of great Bears podcasts out there. So the fact that you guys tune in to listen to us and chat with us, we don't take it for granted. We're gonna keep doing it and hopefully keep it entertaining and have some fun. We had Darrington Evans, Bears running back on last week. He scored a touchdown. We're going to shout out to him. First touchdown of his career, and I hope he kind of sticks around. He's a great dude, a great teammate, and a good football player. So, Ficky, any last thoughts, man? Any shout outs you want to have before we kind of call tonight and get some sleep before the weird?
No shout outs. Yeah, no shout outs. I guess this is the only thing I say to Bears fans. We're so used to this now. Don't let this ruin your day or week. Just, hey, this is nothing new. This is what we do. You know what I mean? Don't let this get you down too low.
This is nothing. So. You're over here rhyming. Oh.
Yeah. Look, that's what I do. All right. So, but yeah, just we're used to this. We've been here before. Keep your head up. Hopefully more brighter days will come, and let's get ready for the 2024 NFL draft, which is in 172 days away. Yes, I'm counting, and I will keep reminding y'all.
We got to get a timer on here. For our live shows. So we'll just get a little draft in the maybe bottom right, maybe in the middle. Just have a little clock, a 2024 draft, and just, it's like, it'll just be ticking. But again, shout out to everyone, especially today. Bears lose, and you guys are still popping in the chat. Everyone, Bears fans are amazing. I mean, we love it.
Yeah, you guys are.
And again, we'll be back probably later in the week, probably like Wednesday, Thursday. You guys know how we are. We'll be here, but we'll lock it in. We're going to try and line up a really cool guest as well. Kind of talk about Justin Fields, his return. And we'll be there, and we'll talk, obviously, the Saints, preview that, and we'll have some fun. So shout out to everyone that's tuned in today, and we'll see you, like I said, next week.
Peace.